Ah, that's better. I forgot my lights. Yo, what's up? Alfonso, Brother Lonnie, Charles Dead, Senior Beef, Serial Killer. What's up? How y'all doing? Hope you're enjoying your weekend. I hope your family is enjoying their weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers involved in your lives. And I hope that you and your family are safe and healthy today. Gil from McCormick, what's up? Um, Yes, I'm glad everybody looks well. Ah, my cousin Yvette Burwell, what's up? The Burwells be representing here. All right. And then we got Jay Supreme, Richard Baptiste, my brother Malik Shabazz, Miss Edwards, only DM Dawson, Aaron Spalding, Harry Perez, G. Gustino, my man Senior Beef again. What's up? Adi Sadiq. How y'all doing? I hope everybody's enjoying your weekend. Now look. Let's discuss our New York Knicks. Okay, the fortunate thing for me, let me just say, fortunate thing for me is I did not watch the game live yesterday. I recorded it and I watched it later. I think I turned it on about 7:30. And the good thing about that is I already knew they lost by the time I went to go watch the replay. Second good thing is I can fast forward through all the commercials. So, and the third thing is once I know they lost and I'm watching the game, I can analyze why they lost. Okay. When you're in the flow of the game, it's hard sometimes to analyze what's actually happening in real time. I could do it most of the time, but I definitely could do it if I'm watching a replay of the game, understanding the outcome already. So I already knew they lost. And so I'm looking at the game and I'm wondering where did the breakdowns occur? And this is the thing, brother. Bernadette Lumley, what's up? Yuri Ark, how you doing? Miss Lee, Ron Cohen, how you guys doing? Glad to see you. Mashaya Katanov, how you doing? And so I'm looking at the game and there was a few things. And actually, hey, Robert Cortez, what's up? The thing is, even my girl Doris Burke was getting on my last nerve because there is a script that the media reads. This is not unusual. There's a script that they have. The NBA is a star-driven league. And so they start highlighting Brunson and Tatum, and they start highlighting stuff because they're trying to push the league and trying to make more money. I got that. But sometimes in that, especially, when they start criticizing, they obviously are not understanding what's going on. And I noticed when Doris Burke was saying that, even Richard Jefferson wasn't really into what she was saying. I'll tell you what happened. Talk about it. In the first two games, okay? In the first two games, actually, I like Doris Burke. She reminds me of a female version of Yubi Brown usually, but she started getting on my last nerve lately. I think they gave her a new script to read or something. But in the first two games, the Knicks held the Celtics to, in the first game, the Celtics, in the game the Knicks won in overtime, the Celtics shot 25% from three. In the game after that, where the Knicks won at the close 91-90, the Celtics shot 20% from three. Yesterday, the Celtics shot 50% from three. The problem is, and this is the first point I want to make today. What's up, Luke? What's up, Corey Lindsay? Corey, Curious Kev, how y'all doing? The first point I want to make today is most people, and tell me if y'all saw the same thing during the course of the week that I saw. Number one, people were saying the reason the Knicks won is the Celtics were not hitting shots. Nobody gave the Knicks credit for playing high-level three-point defense. They were all saying the Celtics just missed shots, and that's why they lost. If they could start hitting shots, they would win. That's what everybody was saying. Is that correct? Is that right? Everybody saw that? So that's what I saw, and that's incorrect. You can never, just blanket say this team lost because they just didn't do this, and if they did this, they'd win. No, it's both teams. The Knicks were playing better defense. Now, one other thing I want to say, and what most people, including Doris Burke, didn't say, in the fourth quarter, yesterday's game, I'm watching the fourth quarter, and I already knew by then what they needed to fix, and I'll talk to you about it in a second, but I already knew by then what they needed to fix. And Darsberg said, "Do you think Tom Thibodeau should pull his, his starting unit now?" It was like I said, it was like 8 minutes left in the fourth. And what she messed up on, and what a lot of people mess up on, they're thinking that Tibbs has his starters in the game because he thinks he can win when they're 25 down. Now, I'm not saying he don't think that, but there was another thing that happened that nobody paid attention to. The Knicks were playing the correct three-point defense at the end of the third and in the fourth quarter. And he was actually using the game as practice. What does Tibbs always say? You build on every game. So what is he doing? I noticed the difference in the defense. Matter of fact, in every game this series, the Knicks have outscored Boston in the second half. In every game, okay? They've outscored, including yesterday. They outscored them 43-47 yesterday. And every other game, they're outscoring them. But what was going on was they let the Celtics get too big of a lead in the first quarter and then the second quarter, and then started figuring out the defense in the third and the fourth, and it was too late. You can't just keep trying to come back from 20 down against the champions every game and expect that to happen. And Nick said that themselves. But let me explain to you what happened. Yesterday, what you have to do against Boston. Boston, number one, Boston shot the most three-pointers per game in the NBA this year by a long shot. They shoot 48 three-pointers per game. That's their average, okay? And shooting the most, they shot 37% as a team, which is a very high level for a team. And they hit 1,400 and something three-pointers, which is the most in the league again by a long shot. So they take the most and they hit the most, okay? Now, you can't really argue with that too much. They're the NBA champions. They had the third best record in the NBA. They had 61 wins. You can't argue with that. The problem is if they're not hitting their threes and they got to grind with the Knicks, they won't win. That's why the Knicks beat them the first two games. See, the Knicks figured out the defense again, second, third, fourth quarter, and in the first two games, and then they had to grind with the Knicks. It was a grinded out game, basically a half court game with the Knicks playing high level 3-point defense. Game time, the Knicks could beat them. Okay, the only reason it was close because the Knicks let them get 20 up in the first two games. Now, what defense is that? If you notice, y'all remember this play was early in the first quarter. I think it was their first basket or their second basket for the Celtics. Jrue Holiday had the ball at the 3-point line. He did a pump fake, right? And I think it was Josh Hart guarding him. He did the pump fake on Josh Hart, went past Josh Hart and had a layup. Nobody was around him. He hit the layup. And my first thought, where was everybody? But then I watched the defense. This is what you got to do against Boston. You got to do what's called stay home. Y'all know what that means? When you're playing defense, you got to stay home. Y'all know what that means? And so what happened, the Knicks panicked a little bit. And especially at Wingstop, both of them, it was both OG and McCall. They kept fading off the guy. If their player, like if it was Jason Tatum, if it was Jalen, whoever, if they were guarding somebody and somebody else had the ball, they would cheat toward the ball and try to play the passing lane. You cannot do that because what ended up happening was the ball would swing to the guy they was cheating off of, and Boston is such a good three-point shooting team. You cannot do that, okay? And so they would back off, and then you started letting Tatum get warm, get rhythm. And then, now you can be on the guy in Boston against Boston. You could be on Derek White all over him, and he could still hit a shot. But it's limited. In other words, he ain't going to hit 50% if you in his face. He might hit a couple of tough ones, but he ain't hitting 50% if you in his face. That's what they started doing. They started fading, especially McCall and OG. They were both doing it. And I was like, if they start doing this, this is over because you cannot give these guys that much room. Secondly, because Karl Anthony Towns had 3 fouls early, of which 2 of them were extremely questionable, but he had 3 fouls early. When they did pick and roll, he kept dropping back. Cannot do that. Cannot. And the thing is, the whole Detroit series, And the first 2 games in Boston, he was not doing that. He was stepping forward. But when you start stepping back and you give them, all they need is a split second of open space and they're firing. That's the game they play. But listen, in the 4th quarter, especially, they did it at the end of the 3rd, but in the 4th, they started staying home, right? And I could tell every time Tatum or Pritchard or anybody rose up, and they don't have to actually jump. They just have to be in front of them. Because by the time you get to the 4th quarter, everybody's tired. So if you can stay in front of them, you can cause them to miss. And that's what was going on in the 4th quarter. And I said, see, that's what Tibbs is doing. He kept them out there so they can know how you really supposed to play these guys, okay? If you start off the game like that, and let's say instead of shooting 50%, they shot 30%, because the Knicks was holding them 25 and 20% first 2 games. Let's say they shot 30%. So now if they shoot 30% on 50 attempts, they're hitting 15 instead of hitting 20. So now you got 15 points you just took off the board. Okay, and they lost by 17. You got 15 points you just took off the board. That changes the whole energy of the game, because when they're not hitting threes, that is such a big part of their game that if they're not hitting them, they don't know what to do. That's the thing, that they're so good at it that it's like this. You know what? It's like this. If you follow boxing, and I do, I love watching one of my favorite. I keep this save. I watch Ali against Liston 1. The first Ali Liston fight. And you watch Floyd Patterson against Liston. Okay. Now, when Liston was one of the hardest punchers by many accounts to ever play in fight in the heavyweight division. He was one of the hardest punchers. You can name maybe 5 guys that could hit as hard as Sonny Liston. You know, maybe Ernie Shavers, George Foreman, obviously, just a few guys that could hit as hard as Ernie Shavers. As Sonny Liston. What did Floyd Patterson do? He came out and he stood in Mike Tyson. Yes, sorry, that's right. How could I miss Mike Tyson? Right. He came out and he stood in the street spot for Liston to hit him with hooks. And so you stood where his strength was, and he blasted, Floyd Patterson. Ali stayed away from the sweet spot. He kept acting like he was going to be in the sweet spot and using his speed and head movement to back away and cause Liston to miss. He was missing a lot, and then he would counter, and that's what beat Liston. Okay, so the Knicks yesterday played to the Boston sweet spot by not staying home and fading toward the lane. They played to the Boston sweet spot, and that's what caused them to go off. That's what it's like going against Tyson and you going right into a hook. You're not trying to avoid it. You think you can withstand it, and you can. See, the first 2 games, they took that away, and this is what the NBA playoffs are about. Teams have to decide, and this is a pick your poison situation. So you got to decide, what are we going to take away? A lot of people say, well, we need to get Karl Anthony Towns more involved. They were trying to. Boston took it away. Okay. And if you saw yesterday's game, the minutes that Towns was in, he was more aggressive because they took away Jalen Brunson. Okay. You got to pick your poison. So for the Knicks, they got to take away the 3-point shot. You'll take Jrue Holiday blowing by somebody. You'll take Jaylen Brown or Jrue Holiday usually, or even Derek White posting up Jalen Brunson. That's not enough for them to win if you take away the 3-point shot. And the Knicks showed already in the first 2 games, they are capable of doing that. And I am very confident. You heard what Tibbs says, which he says at the end, we got to look at the film, make our adjustments, and get ready for the next one. He knows exactly what he's getting ready to do. And that's why reporters kept asking Brunson what happened. Really what they're trying to say is, how did they beat you, and what's your plan for the next game? They're not going to tell you that. So Brunson said very generic things like, we got to play with more urgency. He's not going to give you the game plan, okay? That would be stupid, right? And so he's not going to give the game plan. So that is what you can expect tomorrow night. I want to see them staying home and not trying to help out on a double team. Let Brunson get cooked if he has to get cooked. But stay home on Tatum, stay home on Brown, stay home on the other guys. You got to stay home. Also, what I was a little problem with against Detroit, but I understand it because they was doing it to get ready for Boston. That is, they let everybody keep switching. It was driving me crazy against Detroit because they kept getting Cade Cunningham on Brunson. Okay, that's what the mismatch they wanted. But I understand now, because if you're going to stay home, you got to switch. And the good thing about having Mitchell Robinson in the game is if you've seen this series, he can guard anybody on the floor. He can guard everybody from Pritchard to Tatum to Porzingis to Horford. Mitch can guard anybody. So with him on the floor, you can switch up. You can keep switching, okay? And especially when him and Deuce are out there together, you can switch up. You can keep switching, okay? And you got a good shot at getting a stop, which is why when Tibbs really needs a stop, you put Mitch, Deuce, OG, McCall, and Hart out there. That's when you get stops, okay? So the Hack-a-Mitch thing, it's really it's taking too much attention. That's not a problem. They could really only play Hack-a-Mitch when they're in the bonus, and Tibbs knows how to adjust to that. And that whole unplayable thing, you're already stop getting exact. That's an exaggeration. He is not unplayable. He plays 20 minutes a game in the playoffs, and he's plus on the plus minus side. So unplayable is bullshit. Excuse me, it's BS. Yo, you just got to take them out when they're in the bonus. That's what you got to do. Okay. And don't let the dude start shooting 50 or 60% from the line, because it's a wrap at that point. But for now, we got to deal with what we got to deal with. Okay. So let them keep doing the Hack-a-Mitch. That's no problem. If they're shooting 25% from three, I don't give a crap about Hack-a-Mitch. They did Hack-a-Mitch the first two games and they still lost. Okay. So that don't help them. What does help us is staying home and playing them straight up on the 3-point. Don't fade off. Don't help. Switch when they're running the pick. Make sure you get up on the shooter and switch. I'm expecting that tomorrow. I think if they do that, by the time, and if you notice the first two games, the Knicks did that. Even if they got out 20-point leads, doing a lot of post-ups, backdoor, giving goals, they did. That's all good, though, because by the time you get to the third quarter, you got to grind with us. And if you got to grind with us, you got a problem. The Knicks, if you're talking about a grind game, the Knicks gonna beat them. Okay. Yeah, maybe he does, but that ain't gonna stop him. This is the playoffs, man. Broken finger don't matter right now. That's the playoffs. And it's his left hand. It's not, like you said, it's non-shooting hand. That is irrelevant. What we do need is we need this guy to be ready. It is the playoffs. Bernard King played with 4 broken fingers when they beat Detroit, and they would almost beat Boston in the playoffs. It was 85? I think it was 85, and that's when Boston was really good. So I'm not worried about Karl Anthony Towns. So what? His fingers hurt. He's gonna play. He'll be all right. And that's it. City and Squad, what's up? Yeah, what's up? So this is the thing. It's really 2 questions, and the synopsis here. Can the Knicks stay home on defense and guard the 3-point line against Boston in the 4th game? Yes, they can. The question then is, will they? That's the question. Okay. So can they? Yes, they've shown they can. They did it in the 4th quarter yesterday. The question is, will they? Will they? So we will see. Okay, we will see. The Hack-a-Mitch is, whatever. Let them do whatever they think. Whatever they think they got to do to try to win the game, that's their business. I don't care. It's okay. But that ain't gonna help them though. If the Knicks play the proper defense, Hack-a-Mitch ain't gonna help them. Okay, Mitch played 19 minutes yesterday, and he had 3 personals. He had 6 boards. Oh, no, he had 8 boards, 6 on the offensive end. See, all the hack-and-miss stuff don't mean nothing. Yeah, he had like 4 broken fingers. Remember Felicia Lee? He had like 2 on each hand, and he was still getting 40 a game. Listen, this is the playoffs. If it was the regular season, he might sit. But this ain't the regular season. This is the time you play. Broken finger, whatever, you play. So Cat's gonna play. You just gotta tape it up and play, man. It's not gonna be he's not gonna be pain free, but we don't care right now. we trying to get this dub. You see what I'm saying? So we trying to get this dub. And this is the thing. I think it was Andrew Abraham. He's not here, but he said to me, I think they're gonna put Tatum on Cat. And I said, no, they won't, because Tatum will get in foul trouble. And they hadn't. But in desperation yesterday, they did. Yesterday was the exception. Usually they don't like to put Tatum on Cat because Cat will cause him to foul out. He can't guard Cat. But I guess he's one of their best. So yesterday, Tatum had 4 yesterday. See? You know, they might put Tatum on Cat again tomorrow. Organic, what's up, Fanatic? They might put Tatum on Cat tomorrow. I expect Cat to go be aggressive because Tatum can't guard him, just like Horford can't guard him, just like Porzingis can't guard him. Brown can't guard him. None of those cats can guard him. So I hope they do put him on him yesterday. The key thing is keeping it close in the first 2 quarters. That's the key thing. If the Knicks don't have to even be ahead, they just have to keep it close in the first 2 quarters. Because when you get to the 3rd quarter, if you're ready to grind, if you're ready to do your thing, and the Knicks usually are, that's when we got a good shot. And don't let it be close going into the 4th quarter. See, Celtics don't want that. The Knicks, I mean, can we agree on this, y'all? The Knicks are a better closing team than the Celtics. I think that's established, right? The Knicks are a better 4th quarter closing team than the Boston Celtics are. And that's saying something. See, and one of the big reasons, of course, is we got the best clutch player in the NBA, Jason Tatum. See, so if they can keep it close in the last 5 minutes, we got a really good shot at winning the game. But another thing that we didn't get yesterday, which is not anybody's fault, OG only scored 2 points yesterday. OG only took what, 6 shots? Let me see. He only took 6 shots yesterday. 1 for 6, 0 for 2 from 3-point line. He scored 2 points. That I'm not saying OG needs to get 20, but we got to get more than 2 points out of that spot, right? I mean, you hear what I'm saying? I'm not saying he needs to get 20, but we got to get more than 2 points out of that position if we want to beat the Celtics. So yesterday's game, Brunson takes 21 shots. Karl-Anthony Towns takes 18, which is nice. Bridges took 10, which is a little light, and OG only took 6, which is very light, and Hart took 9. I think all of that was a function of being behind by 25 to start the game. They were behind by 25. No, they were behind by 19 to start the game. Let me look at this again. They were behind. I remember. It was 44-25. They ended up closing the first quarter down by 16. That is the problem. See, so you got to stay close. You won't have to win, but you got to stay close. So we'll see. Yeah, but we'll see. But that's really the key here. You have to stay close. You have to stay home. If they blow by you, they blow by you. But you do not cheat on the 3-point shooter. Don't do it. See, stay home. And all of them are too good shooters for you to cheat like that. They were doing that too much in the first quarter yesterday. They went away from staying home. As soon as Jrue Holiday blew by Hart, they started cheating. You know, they shouldn't do that. So the bottom line is the Knicks are very capable of beating Boston. Y'all remember, before the series started, nobody gave the Knicks a chance. Am I correct on that? All of the big media platforms, all of the bogus Knicks content creators, nobody gave the Knicks a chance to win this game, to win this series. I think we can agree it is definitely more than possible that the Knicks can beat the Celtics in this series. It is more than possible. See, and they've shown it by how they've played them in the first 3 games. So Boston lost both games in Boston. The Knicks lost a game in New York. Tomorrow's game 4. I'm expecting the adjustment because this is the thing. I did not see much adjustment from Boston yesterday. All I saw was them being more aggressive and shooting their threes, and the Knicks not staying home on them. I did not see a major adjustment. I didn't see a major adjustment from Boston yesterday. So Boston was playing their regular game. It's just that the Knicks did not take away the 3. Okay. The Knicks got to do that. Okay. Jay Sniper, if you want to hear what I think about that, I think the fans and the media that are supposed to be in favor of the Knicks put too much pressure on the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. That's what I think. And being away from home, they don't have to deal with y'all. They just got to focus on the game. That's what I think. I think the media asked the stupidest ass. Somebody asked Jalen Brunson, did he know if the Pope was going to come from Chicago? Do you think you're going to meet the Pope? What the hell does the Pope have to do with getting ready for game 3? And Jalen Brunson kept saying, he said, my mind's been a little preoccupied. And another guy asked the same. I was like, what the hell? And then they asked such dumb ass questions. That's why I think the Knicks don't do as well at home. The people that are supposed to be on their side are against them. That's why. Okay? That's why. So they were more aggressive defensively, Margaret Edwards, once they had the lead. That's what I thought. They were aggressive in the beginning, but what I saw was they started getting hot from 3 very early in the game. And that rhythm that they caught, basketball is a rhythm game. You're talking about high level, the best elite 3-point shooting team in the league, and you let them catch a rhythm, it's very difficult to turn that off. Okay, very difficult to turn that off. So I think they'll be much better tomorrow. I'm expecting them to stay home more tomorrow. No pun intended being at home, but I'm expecting them to stay home more. So we'll see. Yeah, off night, and the off night was defensive, and it affect even Tibbs and Brunson said the same thing. They let it affect them offensively because they were so weak defensively. They got out their game. You see, they started panicking, switching, and backing off, and that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. Okay, so I'm still, of course, think if the Knicks could win tomorrow, I'm picking them at 6. Picking them at 6. If they could win tomorrow, I'm picking them at 6. If they don't win tomorrow, I'm hoping it goes 7 because it'd be 2-2. I'm hoping it goes 7. So we'll see. Yeah, I hear you, Yuri. I hear you, Omar. I hear you. I mean, yeah, I like the energy. Yeah, Pritchard's one of their look. If you look at the stats for Boston, the best 3-point shooter is Pritchard. Pritchard been shooting 48% from 3 in the playoffs. 48%. Okay. And the Knicks were giving him too many wide open shots. Wide open 3 for that cat is like a layup, man. It's like giving Curry a wide open shot. You just gave him 3 points. Okay. So we got to do a better job. They got to do a better job staying home on the 3. Okay. They got to do a better job staying home on the 3. If they can do that, they can beat the Celtics in 6 games. They really could. I feel much better after the first 2 games. And then looking at yesterday's game, once I saw what the problem was, I was like, if I see it, I'm sure Tibbs sees it. I'm sure their coaching staff sees it. And in fact, I think that they went into the locker room at halftime, looked at some film and said, oh, we got to stay home. And they started doing it. Mikal Bridges still was fading too much, though, in some points at the third quarter. I was like, what are you doing? Will you just play your man? And he kept leaving his man open. And whoever was his guy, he kept fading off of him and leaving him open enough to hit a 3. Yeah. So especially Wingstop, we got to get better 3-point defense from our 2 guys. And that's it. Those 2 guys set the tone defensively. That is OG and McCall. They set the tone defensively. So if they're playing Tatum and Brown tight, and Tatum and Brown are having a tough game shooting from 3, we're in good shape. We're in good shape, especially Tatum. We're in good shape. So, and that's why OG cannot be fading off and trying to help somebody. He's got to stay on Tatum. Stay home. Stay on Tatum. And Cat was doing a good job in the first 2 games, but he stopped doing it yesterday. And that's what, yeah, so they got to stay on Tatum, stay on Brown. Brown is in their rotation. Brown is their worst 3-point shooter. He shoots 31% from 3. So I'm not saying let him shoot, but you don't want to back off any of them. Okay, you don't want to back off any of them. You want to be on all their case. Okay, all their case. Well, Yuri Ark, that's kind of silly. You can't expect them to do it for 4 games straight. We're just trying to do it tomorrow. You don't look at the playoffs like that. You look at the playoffs 1 possession at a time, 1 game at a time, not 4 games straight. No, this is the playoffs in the NBA, toughest league in the world. You take 1 game at a time. So let's see if we can do it tomorrow night. That's the key thing here. Can we do it tomorrow? If they do it tomorrow, they got a good chance of winning that game. And we all know what that means if they win tomorrow, right? So let's just get this win tomorrow. Let's play the right defense tomorrow. If they can stay close in the first and second quarter. Well, Omar Murray, this is a habit among Knicks fans that disturbs me. Yes, there was a lack of ball movement, but the Knicks game is situated off of defense. You start seeing all these offensive breakdowns when they're not playing defense. So, they got to move the ball more. I agree, but defense is the big problem here. If you see them get defensive stops, especially that 3 in a row type thing, hard to get against the Celtics. But if you could get defensive stops, especially they throwing up threes, if we can get the long rebounds and get the 50-50s, you'll start see the ball move better. Okay. So it's going to be all right. Now tomorrow, I'm not sure. With respect to offensively, Boston's got to also pick their poison. So if the Knicks are keeping it close, that just leaves the Knicks more options, and that's why I'm saying OG has got to shoot a little better. If we want to beat these guys, we need an OG, scoring double figures. That basically, we don't need him scoring 20. That would be good. But if we can get him in double figures, that's really good. Okay. That puts enough pressure with Brunson, Cat on the Celtics to cause a problem for them. Yeah. So they just need to guard the 3 better. And they're capable of doing that. They just got away from it yesterday. They're human. It happens. It happens. These are human beings we're talking about. So they went into I think it's a 7 o'clock down now, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 7. Let me see here. I'll tell you in a second. I think it's a 7 o'clock start tomorrow on BSPN, or is it ABC? ABS. I don't know. Wait a minute. Let me see. Let me see. It's 7:30. 7:30 on BSPN. 7:30 on BSPN tomorrow. Yeah, 7:30 BSPN. So, we just need to. Also, the referee sucked yesterday. I think that's beside the point, but they did suck yesterday. I think we're getting a new crew tomorrow. It's the luck of the draw, but the referees really sucked yesterday. They were really bad, but the Knicks could have still won the game. Okay, it wasn't the referees helped Boston, but the Knicks could have still won the game. So they helped them in all 3 games. Yes, Zarba is bad. I don't even want, if I could get away from him for the rest of the playoffs, that'd be good. Zarba is bad. Zarba is the devil. We don't want to see him anymore. Can we get rid of him? Honestly, I'll be honest with you. I'd rather see Tony Brothers than Zarba. That's how bad that fool is. I'd rather see Tony Brothers than Zarba. And this is other dude too. Goebel was a problem yesterday. And this is other kid. This little he looks like Richie Cunningham. And he's bad. He's terrible. He's terrible. So, but I'd rather have Tony Brothers, give me him, than Zarba, please. So, Tyler Ford, organic fanatic, Tyler Ford. Oh my God, please don't give me him anymore. Can I just avoid Tyler Ford and Zarba for the rest of this series? That would be good. Yeah. Yeah, Cat was in UFC battle. There's no doubt, but that's the playoffs. That's the NBA playoffs. We really got to. Cat has got to stop yelling at the refs. It takes away from his game. He has got to focus on playing. It doesn't help us when he's arguing with the refs. Doesn't help us. Okay, doesn't help us at all. So, yeah. Tyler Ford, and what was the guy's name? Zach Zarba. No, Zach Zarba ain't a girl. Zach Zarba's a dude. But Tyler Ford reminded me of Richie Cunningham. Oh man, Opie. Oh my gosh, man, he's a terrible referee. Oh, Violet Palmer, if I'm not mistaken, was like eye candy in a referee's uniform. If I'm not mistaken, let me look this up. If I'm not mistaken, Violet Palmer was somebody I wouldn't. Well, anyway, yeah, Violet Palmer. Yes, Violet Palmer. I do remember her. I do. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Yeah. I do remember her. That name sounded familiar. Yes, I did. Actually, I was watching the Juju game the other night. I watched. I forgot what night it was. I was watching. What they do, Omar Murray, is Deuce. It was Deuce. Deuce is the primary defender on Peyton Pritchard when he comes in the game. But it got all messed up yesterday. It's Deuce. Deuce has been guarding him. In fact, if you look at the 2 games previous, let's take a look back. If you look at the 2 games previously, let's look at Peyton Pritchard's stats for the first 2 games. For the first game, Peyton Pritchard, let's see here. This was the second game. In the second game, Peyton Pritchard was 3 of 9. 3 of 9. In the first game, Peyton Pritchard was, which is what you want. That's what you want. The Deuce is the primary defender for him. And then he was 3 of 6. He only took 6 shots. Yesterday, he went nuts, so Isaac Levy asked, do I think the Knicks are a great 3-point shooting team? No, they're not. They're a grinded out team. The Knicks are a grinded out team. They got guys that can get hot. They're NBA players, right? Jalen Brunson's a 3-point shooter, right? But they're not as a team. In fact, if I was to look at their stats as a team, I'm sure they would not be a very high level 3-point shooting team. But that's okay. They do need to get them up there, but let me see here. If I looked at the Knicks, they have been shooting 35% from 3, which is not bad. Towns shoots 41, Brunson shoots 35, Anunoby shoots 37, Bridges shoots 31, Hart shoots 39 in this playoffs. McBride is shooting 35. So they're shooting pretty good, but they're not getting a ton of them up. They're not getting a ton of them up. They take 33s a game. Boston takes 48 threes a game. That's the difference. They take 30 a game. The Knicks are a team. See, the Knicks are at their best when they get in the paint, especially Brunson. That's why you see Brunson attacking the paint. And you see Cat trying to ease his way into the paint. The Knicks are at their best in the paint. Mikal Bridges is one of the best mid-range shooters in the NBA. Okay. So they like getting in the paint. They'll shoot threes, but they like getting in the paint. They didn't just throw them up just to throw them up. Okay. But that's it. Right. So that's right, Brent Massive. So if you take away the 3, and when I say take away the 3, they're going to shoot them even if you're on them. But if you could cause their percentage to go down to 30, the Knicks will be in good shape. See, even if they take 50 or 60 of them. Thanks, Brent Massive, for $5. But yeah, if you can stay home and let them shoot threes, they're gonna hit some. There's no doubt. Even with you all over them, they're gonna hit some. But what you want is you want to be in front of them. That's all. You don't even need to be jumping. You just need to be in front of them. And if you can get that percentage down to 30, you're in good shape because you're staying close. And if the Knicks stay close, they can beat the Celtics. especially in the fourth quarter. Okay. Yeah, Precious did give good minutes. I don't know what it is about Precious that Tibbs is not playing him a lot, but that's Tibbs' decision. I'll just leave that to him. You see, that's what I'm saying. Guys in the Knicks nation are so used to second guessing that there's constant second guessing, and you're always second guessing Tibbs. I don't focus on that. Tibbs played Precious 6 minutes yesterday. That's what he played. That's it. If he plays him more, he plays him more. I like Precious. You know, I'm a big Precious guy, and I think he can be effective. But if Tibbs sees something else, then it is something else, right? It is what it is. I think even without Precious, they got enough to beat Boston with the 7. What they use 7 guys usually, sometimes 8. They add from the bench. They add Deuce, Mitch Rob, and usually it's either Payne or Shamit, but it's been mostly Payne. But yesterday he went with 7, and Deuce and Mitch Rob were the 2 guys off the bench with rotation minutes. But Tibbs usually is no surprise in anybody that he does 7 guys or 8 guys. That's how he runs his rotation. Okay, is what it is. How many did the Celtics play? How many guys were in the Celtics rotation yesterday? Let me ask y'all a question. How many guys were in their rotation yesterday? What do y'all think? Y'all think the Celtics played 8 or 9 or 10? What do y'all think? How many guys did the Celtics play in their rotation yesterday? 7. That's right. That's typical NBA playoff basketball. That's typical NBA playoff basketball. So that's what they do. That's a league-wide thing. Everybody does that. So Precious is the odd man out. Shamit is the odd man out. Even Payne. Payne gets the most minutes of them, but he don't get 10. Yesterday he got 8. Okay. You stick with 7. That's Deuce and Mishra. There you go. I would actually keep the rotation the same with Mitchell Robinson right now. And I keep saying this because people keep wanting to change stuff up. The Knicks are not behind in the series. They're not desperate. They're good. What you want to do, though, is if Boston reaches the bonus, take Mitch out. And Tibbs actually said you want to see if he's hitting the free throws, which at the end of the game yesterday, he was actually hitting some. If he's hitting the free throws, then Hakamich has failed, right? But you had to wait, see what happens. That's okay. See, don't get caught up in that game too much. That Hakamich, don't worry about that. That ain't really a big deal, okay? It's really not. It's just a distraction. Don't get distracted. The real deal is guarding that green team from 3. That's really the problem. Hakamich, that don't matter. They'll lose if they play that game too much. And they know it too. See? So it's all right. Don't worry about that. Don't worry, really, don't. It's gonna be all right. It's not the game changer that people think it is. It's just a distraction. So for now, play the game the way you normally play it. The only adjustment the Knicks need to make to me next game is the 3-point defense, which means stay home. Switch on the 3. Stay with the guy with the ball. Don't lose the guy that just made the pick. Stay with him. That's the key. If they get a 3-point shot and hit it, let them hit it. But you're going to make it tough for them. You're going to be in front of their face. That's all you need to do. Okay? You don't even need to jump. Just be in their face. Like I said, they're good. They're going to hit some anyway. But if you can reduce that, that'd be good. That's incorrect. Creative. That's totally incorrect. That's high school and college thinking. This is the league, and this is the NBA league playoffs. You will get destroyed if you try to use a zone, especially against a 3-point shooting team like Boston. Tibbs don't use it because he knows it's stupid, and you shouldn't do it. No, you don't play zone in the NBA playoffs. You play zone if you're playing a team that's played 4 games in 5 nights and they're tired. Then you can play zone because their legs are tired. But you do not do it in the playoffs. You will be destroyed. Okay? So no, there's no zone in the playoffs. You play zone in the playground, not the NBA playoffs. You do not do that. These guys are too good for that. Offensively, yeah. But again, as I was saying, well, maybe you weren't here, the offense tend for the Knicks to play off of the defense. So if they're not playing good defense, the offense will suffer. If they're playing, and I think that's pretty true of every NBA team. If they're playing good in the playoffs, I mean, if they're playing good defense, the offense will be okay. If they're playing bad defense, they take worse shots. They start forcing stuff. They start going to their best offensive player and looking at them to bail them out. And the Knicks do the same thing. Okay. The Knicks do the same thing. So, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. So, in the NBA, let's look at the bracket for a second. Let's look at the bracket. So, in the bracket for the East, the Cavaliers are behind the Pacers 2-1. See that, Miss Edwards? They're behind 2-1. So Kenny Atkinson used a zone against the Pacers, and they've been getting their behind beat. You don't zone in the playoffs. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. So no, especially against the Celtics, they will kill you. No, you don't do it. You just got to stay home. You got to stay home. That's what you got to do. Yeah, Tatum got hot yesterday, and once that happened, it was tough. It was going to be tough. So you got to stay on them early. You got to. One time, did you know? I don't know if it was a lot of play, but OG is guarding Tatum, right? And OG is looking for the pick to come, and he's turning his head looking for the pick to come, and it never came. And while he's turning his head, Tatum pulled up 3, done. And I was like, dude, forget the pick. Just stay in front of him. If they pick, switch. That's all. Stay with your guy. See? Yeah, so that's what they got to do. Yeah, and yes, I agree, Malik. Zebras is on their side. But you know what? I really feel with the Zebras, with whatever else, with Hacker Mitch, all them little, the Knicks can still beat them. If they stay home on defense and play that 3-point line, they can still beat Boston. Because at the end of the day, in those type of games, it comes down to the fourth quarter. And the Knicks are the better team in the last 5 minutes of a game. They are. So I'm very confident in that. Corey Lindsay, that's a correlation that we can't make, because the Pacers have nothing to do with the Knicks. Pacers Indiana, Knicks MSG. There's no correlation between the two teams, right? So it don't matter. Yeah, I completely disagree with you. The Knicks bench is for defense, not offense. Too many people are focusing too much on offense. They do it all the time in New York. It's defense that will win the series, not offense. Mitch Rob and Deuce are coming off the bench for defense, not offense. Okay, defense. That's what we're there for. That's what we're doing. It's not about how much they score. Too many people are totally over-focused on that. It's not about how much we score off our bench. That's a media creation. It is not what we need to worry about as Knicks fans. It is not what the Knicks need to worry about. It's defense. We need to concern ourselves with the defense. And if they can keep the defense going, and especially on the 3-point line, we'll be in good shape. We'll be in good shape. Okay, that's it. So in this series, if you look at this, I want to look at Mitch and Deuce in this series defense with the plus minus. This is where the plus minus come in. So the first game, 108, 105. Let's see here. Look at it. Mitch Robinson was plus 13. Deuce McBride was -6. So that's a +7 between the two of them in the rotation. +7 from the two of them. Okay. All right, so let's look again. Let's look at the next game. This would be 91-90 Knicks, right? What was their plus minus? Let's take a look. Mitchell Robinson +19, Deuce McBride +9. That's +23. Overall, that's +30 for the two of them. Okay. Yesterday, let's take a look at yesterday. They lose big yesterday. We know that. So let's see what was the plus minus for the two of them. Let's take a look here. Looking at scoring for this is an amateur way of doing it. You're buying into the narrative that the media is selling you, and you shouldn't do that. Yesterday, Mitchell Robinson was -3, Deuce was -1. That's -4. So altogether, Deuce and Mitch are +26 for the series. Deuce and Mitch coming off the Knicks bench are +26 for the series. That means Overall, they're 26 points better with those two guys on the floor together. See? So it's not just scoring. It's, can you stop them? That's what it is. And the thing is that the reason it's like that, to be fair, is they're not on the floor with no scoring. Usually if Mitch and Deuce are on the floor, you're going to have McCall with them, Brunson with them. You're going to have somebody that can score, Cat. You're going to have somebody with them that can score. So if they can get stops, they're going to get scores, right? So that's going to continue. So we just need to let them continue. They got a bench. Stop buying into what the media wants you to think, and stop letting the media give you opinions. Look at the stats. Look at analyze the game yourself. I had to turn off Doris Burke and Richard Jefferson parts of the game so I can analyze it, because they were saying such stupid stuff. It's like, come on, man, stop it. Let me just look at the game. So I started analyzing the game better when I had it silent. Then I could focus on what the Knicks were doing and how they were breaking down. Okay. Yeah, but Tendrell, please never focus negatively on your team. Don't ever say Cat's not trying today. That is complete disrespect of an all-NBA player of a team you're supposed to be a fan of. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay? That's the tendency in New York Knicks Nation that drives me crazy. You want to speak negative about your guy. You want to assume the negative thing, but it's a dumb question. How are you going to ask about a guy saying, I'm just not trying today? I'm trying to be nice by saying, I'm going to be charitable, say it's not an intelligent question. I'm going to be charitable. It's not. You know what? Get a pair of these so you can observe better. Don't ever say Cat's not trying. Don't do that. That's disrespect. These guys are trying to win with all their heart. He was drop covering because he made a mistake. It does happen. Oh, God. I'm just saying, based on observation, was he just not trying today? Keep that Nuke Rockney BS, man. Please. Well, Jabroni Z, one thing, all right, I think what y'all missing, really, honestly, let me just say, look, I just told you he made a mistake, Tendrell. He shouldn't have dropped back. He should have stepped forward. Y'all got to understand, this is a show. Am I lying when they have it? They call it a pre-game show. Am I lying, or is that the truth? Do they say pre-game show? You hear me? It's a show. You know what they do when they have a show? People play roles. And you know what happens when they play roles? They get scripts. There's a script and there's a role to play. This one's playing color commentary role. This one's playing an analysis role. And they get a script. They have notes of their script of what they're going to say before the game even starts. So you got to know that that's happening. So what Doris Burke is saying is what her script is telling her to say. Oh, gosh, man. And look, y'all say, well, there's a lot of Knicks hate. Yes. Let's go over this one more time, children. Why does the media hate the Knicks? There's one guy that causes the media to hate the Knicks, and they're always going to hate the Knicks as long as this guy's with the Knicks. Why does the media hate the Knicks? Tell me now, why do they hate the Knicks? They do. Why do they? Why do they hate the Knicks? What is it? That's right. As long as James Dolan is the owner of the Knicks or has an ownership stake, they're going to hate the Knicks. They hate James Dolan for many reasons. They hate James Dolan. So don't be surprised that no matter who it is, they got a script in front of them telling them to stick it to the Knicks because they hate James Dolan, period. They always use a script. It's a show. Anytime somebody's saying we're going to have a show, that's a script. You know what? Cat Williams said that Joel Osteen is an actor playing. He said, I mean, literally, he's an actor playing a pastor. See, it's a script. I remember when I was in sales, we had a script. Y'all ever had a script in sales? I was in sales for a long time. And they said, don't deviate from these words. Stay to the script. Stay to the script. And you know how they do it, right? They set the script, right? They set the script, right? so that they get the most ratings. Apparently, Knicks hate creates ratings. You'll notice that, right? They wouldn't do, if Knicks hate caused the ratings to drop, they would stop doing it. Knicks hate causes them to get more ratings. What does ratings mean? It means more advertising dollars. Okay. Okay, Corey Lindsay says he has a question, legitimate question. Corey, can you hear me? He says, Roar Hebrew, what does James Dolan have to do with the situation? Corey, can you hear me? Are you ready? Let me tell you. You ready? Okay, look. There's a history. There's a long history between James Dolan and the media. This history started in the 90s with James Dolan. Started in the 90s. Actually, before Dolan, it started with the Knicks in the 70s, but we won't even go back that far. Let's start with Dolan. In the 90s, Dolan was very arrogant. He thought he could run the Knicks and make all the decisions. He was trying to be like the Dallas Maverick Mark Cuban, but he wasn't good. He didn't know what he was doing. And so anytime, especially it was the New York Newsday and the Daily News, when they started being critical of Dolan for some of the decisions he was passing on to his team, he would ban them from the locker room. He wouldn't let them come in the locker room. Then the hate went to a new level. It went to a new level. You banned them from the locker room, okay? Then the hate went to a new level. Wait a minute. Then he just messed around and started putting too many brothers in key positions. He's the first owner in basketball history to have a black head coach, a black general manager, and a black president of basketball operations. He's the first and only owner to do that. The first and only. Okay? So that was not played well. Plus the banning the Daily News and the Newsday from the locker room. That did not play well. Okay? Then he starts bringing back guys like Marcus Camby, Sprewell, who cursed him out, and they traded Sprewell, and Sprewell cursed him out, and he brought Sprewell back, and he brought Camby back, and he has Allen Houston in the executive position, and he brought back John Starks, he brought back Patrick Ewing. Okay, he would have brought back Oakley, but I'm gonna be honest, that was on Oakley. That wasn't on Dolan. Oakley was drunk and acting stupid. They asked him to calm down and he got more belligerent. Then they threw his ass out, as they should have. But even after that, Dolan tried to get a meeting with him and Oakley refused and tried to sue the Knicks. Oak was on some trip mode, okay? That's all I'm saying. So that's the problem. At first, Dolan had too much hands-on with the Knicks. And he was so hands-on, he didn't like being criticized, and he banned the media. That was the kiss of death. The media is like the mob. They will get at you for behind that. They have never forgiven him for that. Then the other moves I mentioned, they didn't like that either, okay? And so now he was smart enough to realize, in fact, Dolan actually said this on multiple occasions, I realize I don't know anything about basketball. And I don't know anything about running a professional basketball team. So I need to get somebody. So he tried to get what he thought was the best guy in Phil Jackson. And he enticed Phil Jackson with a $60 million contract. And Phil Jackson sucked. He wasn't even into it. He stole that man $60 million. Then finally, he ends up with the Don. He leaves the king. He takes the ring off his hands and puts it on the Don's hand and says, it's your organization. You run it. The Don proceeds to run the organization tight. And on top of that, the Don don't even allow media to know what he's doing. If you notice, nobody knows what the Knicks doing until they do it. That's why I be telling y'all, when they come out with all these platforms telling them they're going to trade for Towns and they're doing all this, it's just guesses. They have no idea. If they happen to be right, it's because they were lucky. They have no idea what they're doing, what the Knicks are doing, because the Don keeps the inner sanctum tight. Nobody knows what they're doing. It ain't no leaks. Okay? And people tripping on Tibbs, you got to really listen closely to Tibbs. I remember hearing Don Chaney try to talk to the media. Jeff Van Gundy, Pat Riley. I remember hearing David Fizdale. I remember listening to Jeff Hornacek. None of them can handle the media the way Tibbs does. He never gives them exactly what they're looking for. He talks in generalities. That's how you got to handle New York media. And they're always trying to get him to say something that they can put on the front page. He knows that. See? So when people are guessing about the Knicks are going to do this or that, that's all they're doing is guessing. And then when some guy like a Mark Berman comes on, I think the Knicks are acting like he's in Tibbs' bathroom with him, and he don't know what the hell he's talking about. And he's 90% wrong because he's guessing. Okay, so that's why there's a hate for the Knicks. And you're going to, as long as Dolan is the owner, the media will never forgive him for what he did in the 90s and banning him from the locker room. He let them back in eventually, but that's like the mob. They ain't never going to forgive him. Okay, that's it. Then he messed around and had all them brothers in his front offices and all that. Even after Isaiah Thomas, Miss Saunders sued and won, he kept Isaiah Thomas around. Now, he gave Isaiah Thomas too much power, right? And so he took him out of that eventually, but he's still tight with Isaiah. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. So that's all I'm saying. So that's why they hate Dolan Corey Lindsey, and they will always hate Dolan until he gives up the team. They're trying to give him this other team. Okay, so that's what it's about. And you could even go back further. I remember when I was a kid, I thought honestly that the New York team was the only team that mattered in the NBA because we won a couple of championships, and everybody in New York was arrogant about the Knicks. And then what happened at that same time, the Jets win the Super Bowl and an upset over the Colts, and the Mets win the World Series and an upset over the Baltimore Orioles, and everybody in New York was on cloud nine. Everybody. You couldn't tell nobody in New York nothing. Then the Knicks messed around and had an all-black team. Even in the 70s, people wasn't doing that. They wasn't doing that. The only all-black team you saw was that team from Texas, El Paso, that surprised the world and won the NCAA tournament against Kentucky, right? Then they made a movie out of that. But that's not something they would limit the black players. All the way into the 70s, there was a limitation, even in the pros. But the Knicks had an all-black team one time. They started calling them the Knickerbockers in the paper. See, so the Knicks been bucking trends for a long time, man. Long time. That's why I always say if Mark Jackson is ever going to come back to the NBA as a coach, it would be with the Knicks because the Knicks don't care what people think. They'll do what they feel they want to do. But right now, they kind of got that game covered with Tibbs and crew, right? So they're going to roll with that, right? But if anybody was going to give Mark Jackson another shot in the league, it's the Knicks, okay? Yeah, right. I agree, Felicia Lee. He bucks trends. He don't care about everybody's thinking. Okay. Yeah, Mark Jackson has been blackballed. It's pretty obvious, right? It's not like he's an unsuccessful coach and that he don't know what he's doing. He was a great coach. He's a defensive coach. What somebody in New York would love to see as a coach. But like I said, we got it covered right now because Dolan is on letting the Don do his thing. The Don, World Wide West, and Tibbs are been tight for a long time. They didn't just arrive this flippantly. And that's why all of the calls to fire Tibbs are stupid. These guys are tight. World Wide West and the Don were Tibbs's agents. They're tight. They've been tight for a long time. So this is a family, and they know how they're running their band. Art man, thanks for the $10. After we have to start these games better. Yep, that's the problem. Celtics try to beat you with the first and the beginning of the second. That's right. The Celtics hit 23s. Knicks have to hit. Right, that's exactly right. But really, it's the percentage. So the Celtics shot 50% from three. Game 3. The first 2 games were 25 and 20%. If the Knicks could get them back to that, which they can, but they gotta set their defense to guard the 3-point line. Really do. Set their defense to guard the 3-point line. Yeah, so Mark Jackson has been blackballed, but like I said, if the Knicks were coming off of David Fizdale, or Derek Fisher, that was the time they could have hired Mark Jackson. but I got to give Dolan credit. He decided to hire a guy to run the operations of the team and let that guy choose the coach. That's why he brought in Leon Rose, and Leon Rose chose the whole rest of the crew. And Leon Rose chose the crew that he was comfortable with, which anybody would. He brings in Walt Perrin. He brings in the capologist dude. Then he brings in Tibb, and he has Worldwide West with him, and he knows everybody around him, and that's what you want. That's the turning of the culture. Everybody's a family. They know each other, okay? It ain't falling apart. Nobody's throwing anybody under the bus. Everything is kept on the DL. Nobody knows what's going on except them, and that's the way it should be, especially in New York. You don't want to leak nothing in New York because then you got guys like Berman and you got content creators, going off, and they still go off. They still, even with no information, they go off. And I like to tell people, like, y'all remember, I said the Knicks should trade for Mikal Bridges. I said the Knicks should trade for OG Anunoby, and I actually said they should trade RJ Barrett. And this was the year before it was done. RJ Barrett. And why did I say that? Did I get inside information? No. I looked at how the team was constructed. I knew that Tiz wanted to win now. They had already been 3 years with this team. And if they could, and OG wanted out in Toronto. He wanted out in Toronto. So I thought, okay, what would it take to get him? It would take RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley, because Emmanuel Quickley wanted to start as the point guard, which I was with that. But then when they got Brunson, that dream ended. He was never going to start as long as Jalen Brunson's here. So now you got Emmanuel Quickley that's looking to start somewhere. And I always remember saying, I said, well, it's either Toronto or Washington or Minnesota. And it was Toronto. You add both of them together, you can get OG. And I didn't know they were going to get Precious with him, but that's what that deal was. Why did I say they should go get Karl-Anthony Towns the year before it happened, 12 months before it happened? Because I saw how much Carl was going to cost them the following year. And I read where the owner of Minnesota said, we're going to pay too many taxes. We got to, I said, oh, he's worried about paying taxes. That means he got to get rid of salary. And I thought, okay, Juju for crack. I didn't think they would reject a Mitch Rob. And I definitely didn't want Dante, as none of us wanted Dante involved in the deal, but it made sense. You got to bring ass to get ass. And they said, listen, Juju, all right, but we want Dante DiVincenzo. So that had to happen. That's why it happened. It wasn't inside information. It was looking logically at the Knicks. And how do you look logically at the Knicks? You want to look at other organizations that have long-term sustainable winner. You want to look at, how does San Antonio do business? How does Miami do business? How does Boston do business? You want to look at that. And then you can say, oh, following that pattern, what should the Knicks do? It's not hard, but people don't do that. They're too crossed up in NBA 2K or in somebody's hype about a player that can. And this was the thing for a long time. I mean, at least 10 years, probably more, 20 years. In the Knicks Nation, in New York, we had this attitude. Who's going to come and save the Knicks? Is that a familiar theme? Have you heard of that before? Who is going to come? And you even have media people doing it. Who's going to come? Can we get KD? Can we get Giannis? Can we get LeBron? Who's going to come and save the Knicks? That's what the theme was, okay? The truth is, you don't build a long-term sustainable winner by looking for a player to come and save you. But that's what everybody was bought into. You build a long-term sustainable winner from first the front office, then picks and young players and patience, none of which the Knicks Nation really wanted. And so as you could look now, looking back at the 5 years of Tom Thibodeau, let me ask you, have the Knicks been successful in these 5 years? You're looking now at the 5th year. Have they been successful in building a culture, a team, a coaching staff that's solid, that you know are playoff bound when the season begins? Yes, and that's the point. Now they're in championship mode. They may win it this year, they may not. But in the next 3 years, they're going to win one if they keep this team together. And they got this team built to stay for at least 3 more years. So that's why we had look at. We can't look at knee-jerk, fire this guy after a loss, or this, trade this guy. That's not how you build a long-term sustainable winning team. You got to have a long-term view, not a 1 week view. So it doesn't take rocket science, nor does it take prophecy. You just have to look logically at what teams that are successful long-term do. And then you do that. That's the whole point. Your arc, your first sentence tells me the problem. See? So logically in the offseason, who would the Knicks get after the playoffs? What makes you think they need to go get anything? That's what I'm saying. Why would they need to go get anything? That's the whole point. See, everybody starts to think, well, we need to go get somebody. No, we don't. We don't need to get nobody. We just need to keep the team as is. And even more, we need to keep the team healthy. So, can the Knicks enter training camp with the rotation healthy? Now, that's a better question, right? Because if they do, can you imagine if Mitchell Robinson, let's say he was available for 60 games this year. He was only available for what, 20? If he was available for 60 games, the Knicks might be fighting for the second seed. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Stuff like that. So if we can get everybody in camp healthy, we in good shape. We're gonna be a problem next year, for real. We don't need to go get nobody. See? That's what made Oklahoma City tough this year. They was already tough. But then Isaiah Hartenstein became available, and all of the contracts on Oklahoma City were like rookie deals. So they have money. The Knicks ain't there. We passed that. We got all our contracts solid up. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Corey Lindsay. You got to look at your team, look at successful organizations and look at your team. You'll see the same print now. They've done it, man. Yeah, there's a couple of small guys like a Beef Stew or a J Dub J Will in Oklahoma City that's going to be available. I don't know if Beef Stew is going to be available. They just signed him to an extension, so I don't think he's going to be available. But J Dub is up for it. I'm sorry, J Will. I get him confused. J Will is up for an extension, and he's not going to get max money. So he would be a good guy to look at if they lose Precious. But you just really exchanging Precious for somebody else. And so we've got to see what happens. And it's always a negotiation because the player wants to play. He wants to get paid and he wants to play. Obviously, Precious is not in that vein right now. And so we got to see how this works out. Okay. But tomorrow they have to stay home. That's the key. To me, the biggest key, stay home. Yes, we'd like them to win the rebounding, at least one game. We'd like that. Yes, we would like to have some more ball movement. There is no doubt about that. But the key thing is staying home, guarding that three-point line. If you can keep them to 30, 35% from three, we're in good shape. Well, Yuri Ark, let me ask you a question. Let's you say logically you would start developing the rooks, and I'm not going to disagree with that, but let's look at this. Okay, can we agree that this team is built both financially and talent-wise to compete for the next 3 seasons? Can we agree with that? Is that something we can agree on? That the Knicks is now built talent-wise and financially to compete for the next 3 seasons. Okay, so that means you're looking at your squad, right? And you have a starting center in Cat. You have a starting backup in Mitchell Robinson. So you don't need a starting center or a starting backup, but you can sure use Ariel Hukporti as a spot starter and as a third string 5. In fact, Ariel can really play the role that Jericho Sims was playing before, right? So you have that. You have a starting point guard, obviously, right? You have a backup. You have several backup point guards because you still got Deuce. He can play both guard spots, as Tibbs said he could. And then you still got Cameron Payne. So what are you going to do with Tyler Kolek? The problem is Kolek has got to be able to play at least as good a defense as those guys. And Kolek has got to develop so that he can get off an NBA shot on a regular basis. He's still not there yet. Problem with Kolek is that he's 24. He's 24. Y'all remember that guy that everybody, I was kind of high on too. He was out of Oregon and he got drafted by the Pacers. What's that guy's name? And he was a senior, like he was like 24 when he came in the league. And now he's struggling to stay in the league. That's more common with guys that are 23, 24. Duarte, right. You know why? Because they are at their ceiling. No, not Mathurin. Mathurin left after his first season in college or second season. Mathurin was young. No, Duarte. So Duarte was already a grown-ass man when he was a senior in college. So you're not going to get a whole lot of upside from him. It's very rare. Like the guy Cam Johnson from North Carolina, he played 4 full years at North Carolina. He was 23 when he came out, and he's a solid pro. I would not call Cam Johnson an all-star, but he's definitely a solid NBA player. But that's rare. Because usually they don't like to draft guys that old because they've already reached their ceiling. See, that's the problem. And that's the problem facing Tyler Kolek. He's 24. And he still needs to hit shots on a consistent basis in the NBA. He's an elite passer. He is. He cannot play NBA level defense yet. And he's 24. Can he learn in age 25 and 26? That's a question. See, when you start an RJ Barrett at 19, okay, you are expecting him by the time he's 23 to be ready to play big league, big NBA, and he can, right? It's RJ Barrett. You're expecting Emmanuel Quickly when he comes in the league at 21. By the time he's 24, he's ready for a max deal. He is, right? Tyler Kolek, I don't know. You got 2 guards in front of him already, maybe 3 when you count Cameron Payne. Can you replace any of those guys with Kolek right now? Seriously? I don't think so. That's the question you got to ask. So when you're talking about developing young players, you're right. But where are they going to play? Josh Hart is in his prime. And he's going to be in his prime for 3 years. McCullough looks really good. I like McCullough. I like him. But he's 23, 24. 3 more years, he'll be 27. Can he play? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. See, so that's what I mean. And Josh already said he's only going to play through this contract and retire. He's already said that. So he'll probably play till he's 32 and retire. See, so you got to look at these guys in that context. The most promising young player the Knicks have is Ariel, and then I'd say Daddier. Daddier is only 20. See, so Daddier can wait 3 years and then be getting rotation minutes when he's 23 and be developing the whole time. Daddier is the right age, right? You see what I'm saying? So Daddier is going to be 20 and he's going to be waiting and playing. And in 3 years, he might be ready for rotation minutes, right? Because he's played in Tibbs' system. He knows what he's doing. He's developed. He'll be a good player. See? So that's what we're talking about. That's why I'm saying, let's wait. And that's what I'm saying with Kessler. Let me ask you all a question. Seriously. First of all, have any of you ever seen an NBA game with Walter Kessler, right? So we know Walker Kessler. I keep saying Walter. Walker Kessler is a rim protector, right? That's his strength, if I'm not right. He's a rim protector. Isn't that correct? But let me ask you all a question. You think Walker Kessler can guard Jason Tatum on the perimeter? Do you think he could guard Jason Tatum on the perimeter? You think you could switch Walker Kessler on Jaylen Brown and he can guard Jaylen Brown on the perimeter? So let me ask you this. Can Mitch Rob guard Tatum on the perimeter? Can Mitch Rob guard Jaylen Brown on the perimeter? Can Mitch Rob guard Peyton Pritchard on the perimeter? Can Mitch Rob guard... You see what I'm saying? Why the hell would anybody think we need to trade Mitchell Robinson to go get Walker Kessler? I don't know. I don't know where that was coming from, but I thought it was ridiculous. And what happens is Knicks Nation is short-sighted and very short. What you did for me today is all that matters. You got to look at a guy's talent, man. Walker Kessler is a good center. He's going to be an NBA center for a long time. Rim protector, very good. But he's not Mitchell Robinson. He cannot cover the ground that Mitchell Robinson can cover. He cannot guard on the perimeter with Mitchell Robinson. He can't do it. He's probably a better free throw shooter than Mitchell Robinson, but that ain't saying much. Okay? And I ain't giving up on Mitchell Robinson as a free throw shooter yet. I'm thinking he's going to eventually get it. I just need him to get 60%. I don't even need him to be 70. Just get 60. We'll be all right. It will be all right. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. We don't trade Mitchell Robinson for a lesser player. Don't do that. He's a championship piece. You keep Mitch Rob, man. You stay, you let him retire, Nick. That's all I'm saying. What you know, put it this way. Any of y'all remember Marcus Camby? Because Mitchell Robinson is Marcus Camby without a foul shot. Mitchell Robinson is Marcus Camby without a foul shot. The same game, same guy. So would you trade Marcus Camby for Walker Kessler? I wouldn't. Or Kessler Edwards? Oh, hell no. That's what I'm saying. Oh, yeah, the free throw problem is definitely in his head. And it ain't going to go away this year, maybe over the summer, you know, but, you know, not this year. This would be the first summer that Mitch Rob would be healthy the whole summer. This would be the first summer that he's not coming back from an injury in a while, man. So we can, I'm liking the way this team is looking after this year too. So that's all I'm saying. I'm liking the way this team is looking, man. So I think we'll be in good shape. That's all I'm saying. So, yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But, you know, like I said, you're going to get that because people make money on slander and negativity. What I'm saying is I'm saying this in a general sense. Once I came to the conclusion that 100% of the time, media is lying to me. 100% of the time. The only time media tells the truth, it's an incidental situation. They don't mean to. Okay? So if they're lying to you, and really, I always kind of believe this, but it really hit me hard when I started doing Knicks. It really hit me hard when I started doing Knicks. And that's what actually, listening to guys like Berman caused me to create this channel. I was like, I can't handle this, man. So if you understand that media, with respect to the Knicks, are lying to you 100% of the time, you approach listening to them, you're saying, okay, what are they going to lie about? And what you need to ask yourself is, what opinion that's what they're doing. They're trying to make you receive an opinion. And I could always tell when it happened because people come on my channel regurgitating what they just heard from somebody. Not that they thought about it or analyzed it. They heard it and they just regurgitated it. And that drives me crazy. I was like, come on, if you're going to say something, get something original. Don't just listen to Steve Poper and then come on my channel and regurgitate to you what Steve Poper just told you. Where did Steve Poper get that from? That's all I'm saying. See, so they lie to you 100% of the time. You got to, when you understand that, you receive what they're saying as a lie, and now you're looking for the truth. Like if you knew, have you ever met a person that was a habitual liar? I got a cousin like that. Love him like a brother, but he'd lie every time. I told him, I said, man, you need to write a short story book. You make a lot of money. Instead of asking me for money all the time, you can make $1 million writing short stories because you come up with some whoppers, bro. So when he talks to me, my first thought is he's lying. And then I'm thinking, what does he really want? What's the goal? Is it just to get him a quarter Old English, or does he want a pint of a Wild Irish Rose? What does he want? that's what I'm thinking when I see him. See, because I know he's lying. Right? Exactly. What's the motive here? So with the Knicks, we know they're lying. What are they lying about? What are they trying to get you to think? They're trying to create an opinion for you to buy it. That's what they're doing, y'all. They're creating an opinion for you to buy it. Okay. That's why I say I had to turn the sound off part of the game yesterday so I could analyze the game instead of listening to these people. You know what I mean? Okay. Dio, I used to coach Marcus Camby. I knew exactly what his game was about. And he is Mitchell Robinson. It's just that he can shoot foul shots. Mitchell Robinson cannot. Okay. Don't give me that. I know Marcus Camby. I knew him from when he was 14 years old. I know all about him. So no, he's not all what you thought. He was a defensive rebounding center, just like Mitchell Robinson. And he got hurt a lot, just like Mitchell Robinson. but he could cover ground and like Bill Russell, he could cover ground. He could cover ground, and his length was 7-foot wingspan. He could cover ground, he had length. That's Marcus. And he can change a game with that, just like Mitchell Robinson. Okay. Like I said, Mitchell Robinson can't shoot free throws. Marcus could, but there's a change right there. Yeah, I coached him, man. I coached him when he was 14. I met him in Hartford, Connecticut. Yep. No, man. Occasional 15. Come on, Lloyd, brother. Stop. Come on, stop. Stop it. Stop. That wasn't his game at all. Occasionally, anybody get a 15-footer occasionally. It wasn't part of the game. You want to talk about an occasional 15-foot shooter? That's Charles Oakley. Charles Oakley can hit an occasional 15-footer. Very solid. Okay? But come on, not Marcus. Come on, stop. Yeah, I remember how he shot the ball. Anyway. Yeah. When I coached him, he used to want to shoot threes. And I said, I don't want to see you taking the three until I see 4 block shots and 4 dunks. Once I see 4 block shots and 4 dunks and we're off to the races, you can shoot any kind of three you wanted. And he would never hardly hit him, but he'd shoot him, you know. So, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, so anyway, that's Mitchell Robinson. No, John Pettit. I mean, analytics, I would have to say yes. In fact, let me rephrase that, John Pettit. On second thought, I have to agree with you. You know why? Because like I said, it becomes old school ball if the Knicks are close in the fourth quarter, right? It becomes old school ball if the Knicks are close in the fourth quarter. And the Knicks are more dogs than Boston in that grind game, right? And you got to do the analytics. In other words, you got to stay in front of them so that they cannot hit 50% from 3, right? So, Lloyd's brother, I hear your point, and you're completely wrong. He was not more involved offensively. He was doing exactly what Mitch Rob does. He would get the ball at the point of attack, and they would do a shuttle with him. So, no, he was not more involved offensively. Oh, my God, stop. And he never played more than 60 games a year, except the 1 year that he won Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah. I mean, Ian Begley, I don't know what happened, man. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I don't know what happened, man. But yeah, so he used to be the wise man when he was on before he got to SNY, when he was just doing Knicks and he was doing something else, I think it was ESPN or something. He was cool, straight facts. But now some of these guys he has on his channel, I'll be like, what are you doing, bro? Come on, man. Are you reaching for just clicks now, Ian? Is that what it is, bro? But John Pettit, I agree with you. Yeah, the analytics part is staying in front of them on that 3-point line. And the old school part is grinding in that fourth quarter for the dub. Now, Pritchard was just the finishing touch. Pritchard was the last nail in the coffin yesterday. He wasn't, I wouldn't say he was a difference. I wouldn't say he was a difference. He was just the last nail in the coffin. I'm from Long Island. Corey Lindsay asked where I think about Wally Zerbiak and Alan Hahn. They look like 2 Long Island white boys like I would have grown up with. That's what they remind me of. Those 2 are like 2 Long Island white boys that I might have grown up with. That's how they are. And if you're from New York, you know what I'm talking about. There's a certain vibe the white boys on Long Island give you. Y'all know, if you're from New York, you know what I'm talking about. There's a certain vibe the white boys from New York give you. And they them Long Island white boys. East Suffolk County, Long Island white boys. Now, I know Zerbiak played in the league, and he was really good. That's the difference. Not a lot of them are like Zerbiak that actually play. I mean, they had some good white boy players come off of Long Island now. But I think if you want to say, I think Zerbiak was probably the best of the white boys coming off Long Island. I think he was. Is there y'all know any white boy better than Zerbiak coming off Long Island? I don't think so. And there's a lot of good players come out of Long Island, but most of them brothers coming like, Louis Orr and remember Louis Orr and was God, what's that boy name? Boy that come out of Tobias Harris. What am I talking about? Tobias Harris. Yep. A lot of them like that. Yeah. Chris Mullin out of Brooklyn. Yep. And then of course you got a lot of dudes out of Queens, right? Which some people don't like it when I call Queens Long Island, but I swear there were guys I used to hang out with. They used to call Queens Long Island. Yeah, yeah, I know what he is, Corey. Yeah, but somebody asked me what he remind me of. I think they're all right. They're all right. They're 2 white boys from Long Island. Him and Alan Hahn. Alan Hahn, I think, used to work for Newsday. Isn't that correct? Am I like? I think Alan Hahn used to be a Newsday dude back in the day. They all right. You know, they all right. I loved coaching. I had fun coaching. I loved coaching. I loved the strategies. I loved matchups. I loved all of that. Yeah, right. We go from Corey. There was somebody didn't like it that called Queens, Long Island because, you know, South Jamaica and, you know, and all that, and Linden and all that, Linden Boulevard. They didn't like that I called Queens. There was a different vibe at that time. You know, Long Island, you knew when you was in Queens, you could take a bus from East Long Island, where I was from, all the way into Manhattan, where I take the bus into Queens, get off on, I think it was Jamaica Avenue, and then catch the F train into Manhattan, right? But that was back in the day. You probably can't, and that would cost me 50 cents all the way. Get a transfer, be all the way. But you know, you felt the vibe when you got off that bus in Jamaica. There was a different vibe there. Now, where I was on Long Island in Suffolk County, got that old Queens vibe. You know, I'm in Long Island. Don't feel like it used to when I was a kid. It's like Queens now. That's what I'm saying. You know, so. Yo, I love coaching, man. I love coaching. I love coaching the kids. You know how I found Marcus Camby? I went to the projects and I just picked some boys. And I said, what y'all doing? Because they were a lot, Marcus wasn't, but a lot of them boys were just selling crack at the time. And I said, come on, man, let's go play some ball, man. And then I would take them out, and pretty soon they would invite their friends, and I had a whole team. And then we went and got in the league, man. And it was fun. I loved coaching them boys. It was fun, man. I had the most fun in my life coaching them kids from the projects. Not just Marcus, all of them boys from the projects. They was really, well, I knew Ray Allen. I met Ray Allen when he was 18. When he was a freshman, he had just finished his freshman season at UConn, and that's when I met him. In fact, I helped him get his first summer job. People don't know that. Ray Allen's first summer job was at a car dealership in Storrs, Connecticut, and I got him that job. Yeah, my wife made him his birthday was in July, I think, or June. It was somewhere down. And my wife made him his birthday cake. Yep. I don't know how much they was getting money though. And that's how me and Marcus had an out. Our out had to do with a certain person that was getting paid by UMass. And Marcus's mother was getting dissed. Not by Marcus, but by UMass. And it goes a little deeper than I want to go into, but I talked to the wrong people. I got caught up in the game, and I called the NC2A about this woman that was getting paid by UMass. And Calipari hated me ever since. That's what happened. And that caused Marcus and I to split. Yeah, because there was this woman that was not Marcus's mother. She was acting like she was his mother. And she was getting private jets to games. And I had to drive Marcus's mother to games. And she was getting seats behind the bench. And Marcus's mother would get player seats in the middle of the stadium. And I was pissed off. And she was pissed off. And yeah, that's how it went. And I didn't understand the game of agents. I do now. I don't want nothing to do with it. That's why I could never be in that game, man. It's really, yeah, he was at UMass when I met him. I met Calipari at UMass. I was in the locker room. Yeah, I was in the locker room. And I called the NC2A on him. I did. And that's when Marcus and I split until there was an agent. It was the same agent that represented Vince Carter. I think his name was Tank. He ended up going to jail, this agent, but he sued Vince Carter for breach of contract, and he won. Even he went to jail, but he got money from Vince Carter. So this other agent, Marcus had taken money from when I told him not to. And this agent that Marcus had taken money from was suing Marcus. This is when he was in Denver. And Marcus had these two Jewish agents. And they called me, and they had to give a deposition to break that turn that agent's testimony into a lie. Because I was there, and they asked me, and I was living in New Hampshire. He called me, Marcus needs your help. Marcus was playing in Denver at this time. And I said, Marcus, because I was surprised they called me because of what happened with the NC2A. So they called me, and then the agent came, and the lawyer that gave Marcus, he must have gave Marcus like 70 grand while Marcus was in UMass. And Marcus was stupid. He wore this big expensive chain during a press conference, and people was asking how he get that chain. Then it all came out. Yeah. So anyway, I told him don't take no money from these guys, and he was doing it anyway, man. So then I had to tell him that guy's a liar. He don't know what he's talking about. I was there, blah, blah, blah. And then I got Marcus off the hook. Oh, man. So, yeah. Just the story about the woman that he had sex with, the lawyer that became a judge that he had sex with, Ray Allen. The lady was a lawyer diving in here half dressed, man. And he hit it. He was 19. She must have been 30. He hit it. Then he dropped it, and she became a judge later. She thought she was going somewhere with Ray. She wasn't going nowhere. Oh, man. Oh, Marcus was celebrating because it was rumored that Isaiah was changing his mind because Marcus was fragile. And it was rumored that he was changing his mind, but he didn't change his mind. He still drafted him second, I think. And Ray was pissed. He thought he was better than AI, Marcus, and everybody. And he was mad that night. And he said, he told me, I'm going to make them all pay. He said, they should have never let me fall. He said, I'm going to show them all. I'm the best player in this draft. I think he proved that. Yeah. But Ray was mad. He was pissed after that. That night, he wasn't celebrating. Everybody celebrates during the draft night. They had big parties, draft parties that was going. He had lemon and water, and he was grinding his teeth, and he was like, they're going to pay for not drafting me number one. I'm the best player in this draft. That boy was something else, man. Oh, gosh. Ray Allen was something else. Good kid, man. Really good kid. Really good kid, man. I'm sure he's a good grown man now. He's retired, but yeah, definitely a good grown man. But man, when he was a boy, he was something else, man. Yeah. He was something else, man. Yeah. The only game I ever went to at Madison Square Garden, Ray Allen gave me the ticket. I was under the basket. That's when they had Terry Cummings, and they were playing. Ray Allen was on Milwaukee. They were playing the Knicks, and me and his mother sat under the basket. Ray Allen's mother, and she made chicken, homemade fried chicken. Yep. We had a minibus, him, me, sisters, all of them. We went and we had tickets under the basket. It was, man, that was sweet. The Knicks weren't that good then, but it was good to watch, so that's the only game I ever went. I couldn't believe it. I'm at the player will call and had my name there. And I was like, oh, shoot, I'm actually getting in. Yeah, man. Oh, no. Actually, Jay Sniper, the story is when Marcus was at UMass and he had declared he was leaving, he was after his junior year. The deal was this. Calipari told him, if you are top 5, leave. This was after his sophomore year. So he was waiting to hear what the agents were telling him about where he was going to be drafted. So it was questionable whether he would be top 5. So he stayed for his junior season. So now at the end of his junior year, he definitely was coming out. And I had a dream of him in a warm-up line with a Knicks warm-up on. And I said, Marcus, I had a dream. You going to the Knicks. And he started laughing. You and the Knicks, man. Get out of here. You and the Knicks. And he ended up going to Toronto. And he said, ain't no Knicks. But then when he got traded to the Knicks, I was bugging. I said, because I had the dream where he was in a Knicks warm-up and he was warming up on the warm-up line. I said, I seen you in the Knicks. You going to the Knicks? He said, no, I ain't going to no Knicks. But when he came to the Knicks, I was hyped, Jay Sniper. I was hyped. And then Sprewell, too, I was hyped. Sprewell was always one of my favorite players on Golden State. He was one of my favorite players. I thought they railroaded him. PJ Carlissimo got what he had coming. He should have been choked. It was good that what Sprewell did to his ass. He come in here thinking, see, that's the problem. Some of these NC2A coaches think they're these guys' daddies because these guys are raised by single mamas, right? So they try to act like they daddies. Don't come to the league doing that. And that's what I was saying at the time. I said, some of these college dudes think they can come to the league and act like they're somebody's daddy. That ain't gonna fly, not in the NBA. And he tried to act like that with Sprewell and got his ass choked. And I was like, man, he had that coming. And everybody that was there said that he had that coming. You know, so they tried to make an example out of Sprewell. I was so happy when the Knicks. That's dope. That's dope. Knicks said, bring him to New York. We're gonna play. Yeah, Sprewell showed him. He said, "You gonna effort?" And Sprewell warned him. He didn't say what the common term is, FAFO, right? He didn't say it that way, but he said, "Man, you better calm down." He told him, said, "You better calm down." What did we trade? We traded Charles Oakley. I think we traded the guard. What's the guard's name? Oh God. We traded a guard. We traded Charles Oakley. We traded some players, man, to get Camby. I forgot. We traded Oakley went to Toronto in that trade. I remember him. I don't remember. I think we traded Harper. Yeah, I know it was. I know Oakley was in that deal. I'm trying to think if Chris Childs was in that deal. Was Chris Childs in that deal? I don't know if Chris Childs. I don't know if Chris Childs is in that deal or not. But I know that Oakley was definitely going to Toronto in that one. That was the big one. And I didn't mind, obviously. I love Charles Oakley, my type of player. But he was getting Marcus, man. I was happy. We kept Childs. Okay, I can't remember who the other guy was. I just remember Oakley was the centerpiece of that trade. We got Camby. They got Oakley. And then we got Sprewell. I don't think that was a trade. I think Sprewell was out the NBA, like they banned him or something, and he got reinstated. He sued the NBA, got reinstated, and got some money, and then he came to the Knicks. I think John Wallace was in that trade. AP. I think Joe Curry was John Wallace in that. I think Joe Curry. I think John Wallace was in that trade. I think he went to Toronto too. Maybe it was Walter McCarty. I don't remember McCarty because he was. I remember him, but I don't remember him as far as that much of a player. He was from Kentucky. Starks, right. Starks did go to Golden State. That's right. I remember that. Starks was hurt too. I remember him. They showed him in the parking lot after the trade. He was hurt, man. He really was. He went to Golden State like a good soldier, but he was hurt. He was hurt that they traded him for Sprewell. I do remember that. They traded Starks for Sprewell. It was John Wallace for these late. Okay, yeah. It was Oakley, Wallace, and Grant. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, but I just remember Oak because Oak was one of my favorite guys. Wallace was a solid NBA player, but he wasn't nothing that I was like, oh, I'm going to miss John Wallace. But I did miss Oak, man, though. Yeah, Cummings. I remember Cummings and Junkyard Dog, right? And Starks. Yep. I did not. I hated to lose John. I felt like y'all feel about Dante DiVincenzo, right? Like I hated to lose John Starks, but when they said they was getting Latrell, I was like, oh hell yeah, bring me Latrell. And it was at the same time they got Camby. I said, bring me Latrell, Sprewell, please, more of that, please. Oh, it was Buck. Oh, they traded Buck Williams out there. Okay. Buck Williams was another solid. You didn't talk about a rebounder. I don't know how many years in a row he got 1,000 rebounds a year. Buck Williams. That was a machine, man. Please. Thank you, Kendrick, for the $2. Okay, Sean Martin and Cat. Okay. Yeah, so, yeah, man. That's all I'm saying. It was quite a time. But when we got Camby and Spree, I was in my car when I heard the fan announce that. And I almost got in an accident. I was so hyped, man. I was like, what? We got Camby and Sprewell? Oh, shoot. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I did. I felt bad about Starks, just like I felt bad about DiVincenzo, but I wasn't crying that we got Karl-Anthony Towns, and I wasn't crying when we got just Charles Sprewell. There's certain dudes, right? Like y'all should know, right? There's certain dudes that can't play in New York, no matter what the sport. If it's baseball for the Mets or the Yankees, if it's football for the Giants or the Jets, if it's the Rangers, or if it's the Knicks. There's just certain guys that cannot play Kevin Durant in New York, right? They just can't take playing in New York. You can't take it, right? Too much pressure. And then there are guys, you can bring them. It's like they don't care who's out there. They're going to ball regardless of who's watching. That's Latrell Sprewell. He don't care who watching. Your mama watching, your dad, I'm gonna bust your ass anyway. That's Latrell Sprewell, baby. Loved him, man. Loved him. Oh, God. There was another guy that was actually a worse shooter than Mitch, too. What's that guy's name? Oh, God. He come out of Indiana. He played on the Knicks with discount double check. He couldn't shoot for his life, but he could play some defense, though. I forgot. And he never got hurt. I forgot his name. But he could play some defense. Charles Smith, I don't know, Jason. Are we just really hyping on that one freeze he had because he froze, against the Bulls when they should have eliminated the Bulls? All he had to do was dunk the ball, and he was just head faking. He should have just dunked the ball. 6'10" under the basket, dunked the ball. Oh, man. That's what I'm talking about. But no, I think we just hyping on that one play. Nobody will ever forgive him for that. They signed him to an extension after that, like $50 million. I couldn't believe it. Charles Smith. Oh, God. He had a problem that game. Mason was good. That was a mistake trading Anthony Mason to Charlotte. That was a mistake. I know it was hard. It was hard. I had the same problem, Dakota. I'm telling you. I was like, this soft ass dude, man. All he had to do was dunk the ball. Even if he missed the dunk, he would have got fouled. Just dunk the ball. And he kept head faking. Is that how we got LJ? Well, then, all right. Is that how we got Grandmama? Oh, okay. Yeah, man. Grandmama, the bulky baby maker. Oh, is he Buck Williams? That was a rebounding machine, man. That boy could snatch some boards for it. That's how we got LJ, Grandmama. Okay, I'm down then. I'm down with that. I hate to lose Anthony Mason from Queens. I got a story to tell, but I got a story to tell. I got a story to tell, Anthony Mason recipes. Oh, gosh. Love those teams. But that's what I'm saying, though, y'all. We got a squad now. What's wrong with some of y'all? We don't got no Charles Smiths on this team. We got LJs on this team. We do. We got LJ, grown-ass man energy. We got that. His name is OG Anunoby. We got it. Yeah, right, girlfriend. If you know, you know. I got a story to tell. Anthony Mason. Okay. Yes. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. And then he said it must have been a rain out or some shit. If you ever listen to that one, he said, I don't know, must have been a rain out or some shit. Oh, gosh, man. Honestly, my favorite Knicks team, aside from the Frazier teams, is this team. Period. I ain't fronting. Y'all, because you should know that. Aside from the 2 championships with Walt Clyde, my favorite Knicks team is this one. This is my favorite Knicks team right here. And rest in peace. Rest in peace, Mace. Rest in peace, brother. Rest in peace. Yeah, they traded him, man. I know, Jay Sniper. Even X-Man didn't understand that. How you going to let him walk after 1 year? He was New York. He was built for New York, man. He was built for New York. I love that bald head fool, man. He talk about a roughneck. Love me some X-Man. I hated that they let him go. They made some stupid mistakes back in the day. That's what I'm saying. Y'all should really appreciate the Don. The Don don't do stupid stuff like that. Yeah, Mark Jackson, Rod Strickland. How you gonna let these guys go? Oh my gosh, man. Anyway. So, yeah. Love X-Man, man. Love X-Man. Love X-Man. Yes, right. What goes to Vegas stays in Vegas. My cousin's in Vegas. He be begging me to go out there. I just don't have time to be running out there right now. I'm going to go out there one day, but it ain't on the top of the agenda. I got other spots I need to hit. That, we thinking about visiting Medellin, this year. I'd like to visit Medellin, man. I want to check out some Medellin. We're trying to do some Panama at some point in the next 2 years when we retire. Possible spot down there in Panama. But we seen what we got. But yeah, man, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, that's all I'm saying, Jay Sniper. That's Jay Sniper. That's all I'm saying. So, but I like this team. All the squads we had some X-Men, we had some Mason, we had some Ewing, but it was Clyde and these guys. And it wasn't even Clyde and Earl of Pearl. It was Clyde and Willis Reed and these guys. And Dollar Bill Bradley, all that. Costa Rica's getting too expensive, man. My boy built a house down there, and even he's regretting. It's getting too expensive there in Costa Rica, man. Yeah, so I mean, everybody done discovered it. You know what happens when certain classes, certain people from certain areas of the world discover something. They discovered it. Yeah. That's the problem. They done discovered it, Dakota. So yeah, so we're looking at Mexico, Panama, Ecuador, Colombia. That's what we're looking at. And possibly we look at some other stuff once we get the feel of them. We got to feel the vibe, you know what I mean? Feel the vibe and see what it's like and see where we're supposed to go. Yeah, so we see what happens. That's what I'm saying, Dakota. Yeah, too many certain people come there and mess the whole thing up. You know how that is, man. So that's what I'm saying, Felicia Lee. This is my favorite squad right here. This is the one right here. I'm like all in from top to bottom. Give me the Don all day, every day. Plus the squad we now got. I'm down. That's what I'm saying. Joe White crazy. That's all I'm saying, man. That's what I'm talking about. This is the squad. Recognize you here now, y'all. Happy days are here again. Y'all just don't see it. Rory Sparrow versus Deuce. They had similar coaches because Sparrow come out of Villanova. It wasn't the same Villanova that, Brunson them. That was under Raleigh Massimino. No, was it? I think it was Massimino. I think Raleigh Massimino was the coach there at that time. He's a lot like Huggins for West Virginia. So they did have a lot of similarities in that regard. But it was a different era. It's hard to compare Rory Sparrow with Deuce McBride. They play in different eras. Deuce is toughness. That boy looked like a football player, man. Really. He looked like he could play linebacker or quarterback or cornerback or safety. Deuce does look like that. And he runs like a football player. You ever notice that? He don't run like a basketball player. He run like he playing football, like he getting ready to go hit somebody. That's what he run like. Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah. Hey, how many years? At least 10, right? People were begging for a point guard in New York. Finally got one, man. We got the point guard. Jalen Brunson is our guy. Jalen Brunson's our guy, man. Shoot. But yeah. Deuce is one of my boys, though. That's all I'm saying. Deuce is one of them cats. If you got a rumble, you want Deuce with you. You know what I mean? You want somebody that ain't afraid of you, that will punch you in the mouth? I want Deuce McBride. That's what I'm saying. That's why they could beat the Celtics. Deuce ain't scared of y'all. Oh, Peyton Pritchard? Oh, you cool? Don't let me get your ass, though. See what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. Yes, that's right, Nancy Stevenson. That's why I wanted to keep Tibbs for these 5 years. Everybody was calling for his job from year one. And I was like, y'all tripping. Y'all stupid. Y'all dysfunctional. Y'all having that battered wife syndrome. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. We got a guy. Keep him. Keep him. Keep him. And I loved what he did this Saturday night. Yesterday's game. He played the fourth quarter like it was the first quarter of the next game. That's what he was doing. I said, he changed the defense. He's practicing his defense right now. Nobody saw that. Why is Tibbs have to start? He's practicing his defense. And when he saw enough, he took him out. That's all I'm saying. He had been doing it the first 2 games, Dakota. For some reason, I did not see a lot of it yesterday. I'm not saying he didn't, but my focus overall was on the team not covering that 3-point line. So I really wasn't paying attention as much yesterday, honestly, to individual matchups. Once I saw them help, especially McCall and OG, they were driving me crazy. They kept leaving their man open and trying to help, and it was burning our ass every time. And once Boston got a flow going, it was over. See, it was over. See, so I hope, though, tomorrow they go back to that. They should go back to staying home with their men at the 3-point line. When Pritchard ass come in, put Deuce in there, and that's the end. Just pull the Deuce card on his ass. Then you ain't going to see him go off if you do that. I don't care. He's a great shooter. I'll give it to Pritchard. He's a great shooter till he get the Deuce card. That's all I'm saying. So, hey, I want to get one before Clyde passes away. I really do. Seriously, I want us to get a ring before Clyde passes away. He's 80 years old, man. You see what happened to George Foreman? He was healthy about last year, this time, and all of a sudden, just like that. It happened to my daddy, too. He was doing good. Then all of a sudden, boom, he was in a stroke, heart attack. All happened so fast, man. So when a guy gets to be 80, you want him, especially a guy like Clyde. Clyde's been a part of my existence since I was 8 years old, man. So I want to see us get a ring while he's still here. You mean? So that's what I want to see. Yeah, I think we do, Jason. Tomorrow's a big game. Tomorrow's a big game. Really is. They're going to look at the film, come back. I want to see that 3-point defense tomorrow. I don't even care if they're hitting shots or missing shots. I want to see the damn 3-point defense tomorrow. That's all I'm focused on. If I can see that tomorrow, I'm going to be very happy. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If Brinson is missing shots, if everybody's missing, yes, rest in peace, Dick Barnett. Fall back baby, Dick Barnett. Y'all, you remember that? He used to call him fall back baby because he had that fadeaway. Fall back baby, Dick Barnett. Rest in peace, Mr. Barnett. Rest in peace, sir. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, so if we could win this game tomorrow, it'd be good, really good for the Knicks. Really, the whole narrative will change because that's how crazy it is out here. So let's just take this game tomorrow. Let's do this thing. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, always fun hanging with real, and I mean real Knicks fans, people that support the squad, people that bleed in orange and blue, not these diaper-wearing, whiny fools that act like their mama need to come and change their diaper and put that bottle in their mouth. No, we want the real Knicks fans. I'm glad y'all was here. I'm glad y'all was here. Let's do this thing. Right, Jay Sniper? Let's do this thing, man. Let's get this thing done. That's right. Let's get this thing done. Tomorrow, 7:30. We're going to do a preview tomorrow morning for the pod. I mean, for the regular video in the morning. Thank you, Corey Lindsay. Love back at you double, brother. Love back at you double. That's all I say. Back twice upon your own head. More love. Praise the Most High. All right. Please enjoy. Please be safe. Don't worry. We good. Right, Jason? Keep the faith. We good. Don't worry. Sure.